All right, you guys got to hear me out for a second. So, for all you Daniel Cormier fans, you guys are going to like this one because Daniel Cormier just said that he would feast on today's UFC light heavyweight division if he was still competing, right? I mean, not compete, not survive, feast. And honestly, guys, this take is way more interesting than people want to admit. What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to Duality 7X. I'm your host, Shiraz, and if you guys are new here, we cover all the latest trending stories when it comes to the world of MMA, UFC, WWE, and boxing. So let's get right into it, guys. Let's talk about DC, the walking, living legend. Legacy talk, guys, and this is why this is what has got the MMA so riled up, because the MMA community is heated right now because of DC's latest comments, guys. So let me look. Before I even continue, guys, if you like and hear what you see, please smash a like and subscribe. It totally helps us out, guys. But look, Daniel Cormier recently came out and basically said this: if he was still in his prime at 205, all right, he'd be eating good. His exact point was simple. There are no real wrestlers left in today's light heavyweight division. Lots of strikers, lots of power punchers, but not many guys who can chain wrestle, grind you, and then break you mentally. And that's DC's game. That's what he likes. That's what he was all about. That's what made him so famous, so popular, and so successful. And DC's like, look, man, that's my world. And look, honestly, guys, he also said if he had to pick one fight, it would be Alex Pereira. Not because he thinks it's easy, but because he thinks Pereira is the biggest star, the biggest money fight, and the most interesting matchup. And honestly, that's vintage DC talk right there, guys. I'm blown away. I thought he was going to say, I might have even thought if he goes a class down to talk about Khamzat Chimaev. But, if he's talking about light heavyweights, and, Alex Pereira, hands down, yeah, definitely his name comes to mind. Alex Pereira, even if you were to go heavyweight, it could be Alex Pereira as well, too, right? Because we all know that Alex Pereira is flirting with the idea of potentially changing weight classes. But now, look, this isn't just trash talk. This is the kind of stuff that creates that whole legacy talk or conversation about legacy. And this is why I love it so much, because DC came up in an era where wrestling at, say, 205 was like real. And like you got guys like John Jones, Gustafsson, Rumble. Guys who could actually threaten him in multiple areas, right? And today's division, honestly, it's dangerous, but it's very strike heavy. And that's true. A lot of the guys these days, they like standing up, they like striking, they're power punchers. But when it comes to good old wrestling and grappling, yeah, you know what? It's really hard to find an all-around complete fighter. But Alex Pereira would make a very, very good argument. So I kind of agree with DC here. But DC's argument is basically this: if you can't stop the takedown, if you can't survive on the mat, then you're in big trouble. That's 100%. Nobody's gonna argue with DC on that. Everyone's gonna really attest to that, I think, for the most part. But that's still true. For the most part in the world of MMA today. Look, I personally here's what I think, guys. Honestly, do I think for 1 minute a 45-year-old Daniel Cormier walks in today and runs through everybody? No. Look, let's let's be real. But a prime DC in his prime, the one who slammed people like it was nothing, the one with Olympic level wrestling, cardio, that DC would put up a good fight against any of the top light heavyweights today. there's a possibility he might even run right through that division. And yeah, that version of DC that I was talking about right there, boy, that could be a nightmare matchup for all of those guys, especially at 205. Pereira especially, that would be a good tilt. 100%. Alex Pereira is an elite fighter. Potan is incredible. Probably one of the best strikers that we've seen. I mean, I don't even talk about his last match. Everybody knows what happened in the first round. But the biggest question mark that's lingering, about Alex Pereira has been his grappling. And DC knows that. And look, Makhachev, there's an angle to this as well, too. He's been on top of all of this, guys, He's been after DC. DC's been catching a lot of heat from Islam Makhachev for a while now. And Islam had some viral lines, guys. Like he was telling DC to get in shape, talking about Dagestan wrestling, basically saying that you're still tough, but times have changed, my friend. And I'm not gonna argue with that, because that just adds another layer here, guys, because it just shows how dominant wrestling is, and how it's kind of evolved over time since DC's era to what we have now, and how dominant wrestling honestly is still the king in MMA. Right now, just not always at the light heavyweight division anymore, or even heavyweight division, but it's still the king. I know Brock Lesnar, I know he loved going to the mat. But a lot of the top heavyweights now, they like to stand up. Right? So here's a real question. What if prime Daniel Cormier dropped into today's UFC light heavyweight division? All right? And he fought somebody of the likes of Alex Pereira. What if he drags him into like deep water? What if wrestling once again becomes the deciding factor at 205? Wouldn't that be an unbelievable scenario to watch play out in front of our eyes? I mean, the only way we could ever see that potentially happen is maybe in a video game. But like, does DC become champ again? If DC were to fight Pereira at 205, what do you guys think would happen? Or does today's speed, power, striking, evolution catch up to him? Because, guys, I just mentioned that wrestling has evolved a lot over time since DC has last stepped into the octagon as an active combatant, not as a commentator or broadcaster. But if wrestling has evolved over time, so has striking. Because striking now has definitely also improved and become a lot more streamlined now. And the way the guys are fighting these days, man, like, honestly, either any one of those guys could easily get into like crossover boxing for sure. So, question comes down to is, would DC become a champ if he were to take on Potan today? Not like DC today, but DC Prime fighting Alex Pereira today. Or does today's speed, power, and striking evolution, as I mentioned, end up catching up to him? That's the $60,000 debate, guys. That's what I want to know. The bottom line is, look, Daniel Cormier honestly isn't crazy for saying this. I actually kind of respect him for it. I think he's kind of right. I think it's bold. I think it's confident. And I think he's telling the truth, all right? And it forces us to look at how much the division has actually changed over time. Prime DC versus today's light heavyweight. Hands down, I'm taking Prime DC all the way, guys. That conversation is way more closer than people want to admit. And they don't want to admit it. That's fine. I can talk about it freely right here, because I told you guys, this is just all real fight talk. No fillers, no biasness, no fluff. Real discussions, guys. Real discussions. And DC, Prime DC, would definitely steamroll through any of the light heavyweight guys. I mean, steamroll might be a big word, but I definitely see DC coming out at least as one of the best light heavyweights if he was if he was in today's UFC. I mean, like, again, guys, I told you what I think. I want to hear what you guys have to think. Does Prime DC beat Alex Pereira? Bottom line, that's what I want to know from you guys today. Or is today's version of the division shut him down? And DC Prime DC, does Prime DC need to just stay in his era, or would Prime DC put up a challenge to a lot of the top light heavyweight fighters at 205 today? Guys, I want to hear from you. Let me know. Drop your thoughts and comments below, please. If you guys enjoyed this real fight talk, smash the like and subscribe, guys. Share this with your friend and hit the bell notification so you guys never miss a beat. And thank you guys for joining us, and I look forward to catching you guys on the next one.